Hey guys, Tammy here. And in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 things that your judge wants. Okay. Now, I talk about this a lot of times from the perspective of what the judge wants from you. But in this, I'm going to talk about kind of what they want from their own perspective of their own approach. And I think that'll kind of help round out the vision of what the judge is trying to do in your case. Before we dive into this video, if you like this content, please hit like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when new videos are released. And as always, please share this on your social media, Facebook, wherever you are, so that more people can find help. I mean, let's face it, this is a tough journey, right? That we're all on. So please share the wisdom. 3 things your judges want. And the first thing that I'm going to start with is, I think, kind of the core of it. And that is that they want to be seen as fair, yet reasonable, yet compassionate. Okay. So I know a lot of times we go into the courtroom and we feel like this judge just didn't listen to me at all, didn't pay attention to how I felt and sided with the other side. Okay. And I know that we walk away from it feeling that way sometimes, but, I think the compassionate part is, varies between judges just like it does people. And I think it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't feel compassionate sometimes when they don't act like they are. I think it's just a matter of not expressing it or showing it, or again, just like we as people, there's, some people that you come across that you can just tell they're very warm and compassionate and all that kind of thing. And it's not like the next person isn't compassionate. They just don't show it outwardly in that same way. And obviously, I think females, a lot of times we show those kinds of behaviors outwardly more frequently than men do as a general rule. And that's not, I'm not trying to there's nothing like hard and fast. Obviously, we're all different individuals. It's important to understand that, your judge does want to be seen as fair in your case. They do, want to be reasonable in the orders that they're making, and they do want to be compassionate, but they do have to follow the law. And I think that's really where the breakdown happens for most people is it doesn't seem fair, reasonable, and compassionate sometimes to us because we don't have the knowledge of the law that the judge has. And so while the judge wants to be fair and compassionate and all those things, they do have to follow the law. I had a client today that said, I've had this finding of domestic violence against me. They've made a permanent order, and it was an incident between me and the other parent. I'm not a danger to my child at all, and I want to go, have this overturned. And it's like, well, okay, but the incident happened between you and the other parent. So the finding is valid under the law, even if the judge thinks, wow, this person's probably not a danger to their child and seems like a good parent. I still got this issue of there's domestic violence incident that happened. They do have to follow the law. So being reasonable and compassionate doesn't necessarily mean finding for you. Right? That's not what I'm talking about. And so sometimes we have to realize that the judge is doing the fair thing, even if it doesn't feel particularly compassionate in our given situation. They are bound first and foremost to follow the law, right? But then secondarily, they are a human being. And so they do care about people as individuals. It's kind of funny sometimes you see I've obviously had the opportunity to see the judges in environments other than the courtroom in more social settings and things like that. And it's kind of funny because, you would never know, right? If you just met them and you didn't know what they did, a lot of them you would never suspect that they're a judge, but you see them in the courtroom and it's a totally different demeanor, and they've got that kind of serious hat on, and they have a very serious job to do, right? These are very tough decisions. The next thing that the judge wants to do is they want to make the right decision for your family. They really do. I mean, again, in the first instance, they're bound to do what they're bound to do under the law. But then, secondly, they do want to figure out the right solution for your family. And that's really tough. I mean, put yourself in those shoes and imagine having two people standing in front of you for 20 minutes that are arguing, and you're supposed to figure out their whole life history, all the dysfunctional dynamics, and figure out what a parenting plan should be within that 20-minute span. That's a real hard call. They don't have the luxury of knowing all about your life and all about everything that's happened in, the previous time before you got to the courtroom, nor do they have the time or the resources or capacity to learn all of that information either. So they've got to apply the law in sort of some of those logical, analytical ways that I talked about in some previous videos to help them arrive at what the right decision is for your family. And, one of the things that they're concerned about is protecting the children first and foremost, but beyond safety reasons, if there are no safety concerns, then what the court looks at is, how do I keep both of these parents involved with the child? That's really what they're ultimately looking for. The third thing that the judges want is they really want to avoid being reversed on appeal, being overturned on appeal. It's really, I would say that's kind of a humiliating thing for them, I think, and especially in their career, because it means that they made the wrong decision, right? So going back to what I just said in number 2, they really want to make the right call. They really do. They want to make the right call for your family, and they also want to make the right call for, their own performance and, career advancement and whatever. You can't make all these bad decisions, be reversed on appeal and all that kind of thing, and not eventually lose your position as a judge. They really do want to, have their rulings stand and to make the correct call so that they don't have that overturn on appeal. An overturn on appeal is it's kind of like when two attorneys go in. And, I talked about this a few videos ago too, how attorneys are very motivated to win, right? That's one of they're very competitive. Almost every attorney I know is extremely competitive, and they're in it to win when they go to battle. Your judge has that same training and mindset as an attorney, right? They were an attorney before they got to be a judge, presumably. They want to win as well. And what does winning look like when you're a judge? Well, it's not, side A versus side B when you're a judge. Winning is doing things correctly, right? Doing things according to the law, procedurally correct, and all of those things so that you don't get overturned. Because if you're overturned, then you probably made errors, you made mistakes, you didn't do your job well if you got overturned. Sometimes, I've had clients say, well, this seems like a really easy thing. Like, why are we going to trial on this issue? Or why are we, having 2 days of trial when this could be very easily decided and it's so obvious? Well, part of it becomes just the legal aspect of like due process and parental rights being constitutional, and the judge making sure that they have all the information and that there's nothing that they're unaware of, and how do they learn everything they need to know to make sure that they are making the right call. And so in some decisions, that ends up needing more time and testimony and more digging into what's going on. They will, they will use a trial or whatever to the advantage of learning more of the details so that they can make the right call and not be overturned on appeal. So that's your 3 things that the judge is looking to do. Now, like I said, if you are, in the courtroom, it's like it can feel bad when the judge is ruling against you, right? But I think that you have to go in with the idea, or at least the presumption, that the judge really does want to make the right call and they want to be fair with you. But your part in the other side of that equation is that you're presenting your information in a factual, unbiased, non-emotional way. Because if you go in and you are behaving hysterically and emotionally and all those things, but yet you're expecting your judge to be reasonable in their decision making, those two things don't really go together. So if you want the judge to be reasonable, then you have to be reasonable. And that means, behaving accordingly, knowing the procedures, knowing how you need to conduct yourself, and how to best present your information. All right. I hope this is helpful. If you'd like to learn more about my coaching services, please go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There's a link on that page. You can book a time to speak with my staff about my coaching services and about how I might be able to support you on this journey. See you guys next time.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.